Hello students, myself Nimesh Prabhakar. Welcome to Process, Dynamic and Control lecture series. In my previous lecture, I completed chapter number 4, that means Dynamic Behavior of Reactor. Now, in this lecture, we start new chapter. The name of this chapter is Dynamic Behavior and Control of Distillation Column. So, in this chapter, we learn about the distillation column. So, what is distillation and the dynamic behavior of distillation column and different type of control scheme that used in distillation column we will learn. That means overhead control, bottom control, we will learn in this chapter. So now we start the basic introduction of distillation. So, first of all, one question come in our mind: what is distillation? So, the answer is distillation is the process of separating components of a mixture based on different boiling point. So, distillation is simple one process of separating component of mixture based on different boiling point. In the figure, you can see simple diagram of distillation. That means here we get the distillated water, that means pure water. In the left hand side, you can see we increase the temperature of water. That means water is converted into the vapor, and then on the right hand side, when it cool, then it all converted into the water. So we get pure water in this method. So this is a simple example of distillation process. Now there is another example of distillation process, that means purification of alcohol, desalination, oil refining and making liquefied gas from air. So these are the example of distillation process. Now we understand distillation. Distillation is a widely used method for separating mixture based on differences in the condition required to change the phase of component of the mixture. To separate a mixture of liquid, the liquid can be heat to force component which have different boiling point into the gas phase. The gas is then condensed back into the liquid form and collected. So, this is the simple distillation process. Now, distillation is avoided when? So, there are some circumstances when distillation is avoided. So, which are the circumstances? The first one is the thermal damage can occur to the product. So, at that time, we also avoid distillation. Now, second one is a separation factor is too close to unity. That means it is very hard to separate two products. So, we cannot use the distillation. Then, extreme condition of temperature or pressure are needed. So, at that time, we also avoid distillation. Then, economic value of product is low relative to energy cost. So, these are the conditions when we avoid the distillation. Now, distillation equipment. So, in the industry, the distillation process involves number of equipment. So which are that equipment? So you can see in the figure there are number of equipment. So many important equipment of distillation process is, first one is distillation column. You can see here, this is the distillation column. Now next one is packing and trays. So in the distillation column, the trays are put. Next one is accumulator, then preheater, then feed pump, then reflux pump and reboiler. So these are the distillation equipment that are used in the industry. Now we understand one by one. So first one we understand about the distillation column. So this is the simple diagram of distillation column. So a distillation column is an essential item used in the distillation of liquid mixture to separate the mixture into its component part or fraction based on the difference in the velocity. So this is the function of distillation column. The type of distillation columns are mainly, there are two types of distillation column. So first one is batch column. In a batch operation, the feed to the column is introduced batch wise. That is, a column is charged with a batch and then the distillation process is carried out. When the desired task is achieved, a next batch to feed is introduced. That means here we done operation batch wise. That means first batch come, then we proceed, then we start procedure, then we get the desired goal, then we enter second batch. So this is the batch column. And next one type is the continuous column. So here you can understand that this is the opposite of batch column. That means what? In contrast, continuous column process a continuous feed stream. No interruption occurs unless there is a problem with the column or surrounding process unit. That means in this system, continuously we feed the material and we get the product. Without when the surrounding process, no interaction occurs unless there is a problem with the column or surrounding process unit. They are capable of handling high throughput and are the most common of the two types. We shall concentrate only on this case of column. Now, the tower has two purposes. That means distillation column is also known as the distillation tower. So there are the main two purposes of this tower. First one is separate a feed into a vapor portion that ascend the column and liquid portion that descend. And second one is it achieve intimate mixing between the two counter current flowing phases. So these are the two use or the two purpose of the distillation column. In continuous distillation, the feed is introduced continuously into the side of distillation column. If the feed is all liquid, the temperature at which the first start to boil is called bubble point. And if the feed is all vapor, the temperature at which it first starts to condense is called the dew point. The feed entering the column is normally operated in a temperature range that is intermediate to the two extremes of dew point and bubble point. That means we enter the feed material, the temperature is between these two ranges. That means is between the bubble point and dew point. The separation of phase is accomplished by difference in vapor pressure, with the lighter vapor rising the top of the column and the heavier liquid flowing to the bottom. The portion of column above the feed is called rectifying section, and below the feed is called stripping section. So these are the two sections. The above feed section is called the rectifying section, and below feed point is known as the stripping section. Now we discuss about the second one component of the distillation process is the packing and trays. See, these are the trays in the distillation column. Column internal such as trays, plates and packings which are used to enhance the component separation. Tray has bubble cap which causes ascending vapor to be bubbled through the descending liquid. Tray provide intimate mixing and contact between vapor and liquid. That means by using this tray, we get intimate mixing and contact between vapor and liquid. Now next one is condenser. The overhead vapor leaving to column is sent to a condenser and is collected as a liquid in a receiver or accumulator, or is also known as a reservoir. A part of accumulated liquid is returned to the column as a reflux. That means a part of liquid that returned to the column is known as reflux. The remainder is withdrawal as overhead product or distillate. That means remaining portion of the liquid is be withdrawn and is known as the overhead product or the distillate. Now next one part is the reboiler. So the liquid leaving the bottom of the column is reheated in a reboiler. That means we increase the temperature by reboiler. The reboiler is a special heat exchanger that provides the heat necessary for distillation. Part of column bottom liquid is vaporized and vapor are injected back into the column as a boiler. The remaining liquid is withdrawn as a bottom product or is known as the residue. So this is the bottom product process. Now we discuss about the working of this distillation process. So the vertical cell house the column internal and together with the condenser and reboiler consists a distillation column. A schematic of typical distillation unit with a single feed and two product stream is shown in a figure. So this is the figure of distillation. The liquid mixture that is to be processed is known as feed, and this is introduced usually somewhere near the middle of the column to to the tray known as feed tray. The feed tray divides the column into a top section, that means is known as rectification, and the bottom is the stripping section. The feed row down the column where it is collected at the bottom in the reboiler. Heat is supplied to the boiler to generate vapor. The source of heat input can be any suitable fluid. Although in the most chemical plant, this is normally steam. So in the normally, as a source, we use the steam. In the refiners, the heating source may be the outsteam of the other columns. The vapor rise in the reboiler is reintroduced into the unit and the bottom of the column. The liquid removed from the boiler is known as bottom product or simply bottoms. So this is the bottom product. And now we discuss about the top product, that is overhead product. The vapor moves off the column and it exits the top of the unit. It is cooled by the condenser. The condensate liquid is stored in the holding vessel known as the reflex drum, or we can say as an accumulator. Some of the liquid is recycled back to the top of the column, and this is called the reflux. That means the liquid with back in the column is known as the reflux. The condensed liquid that is removed from the system is known as the distillate or top product, or we can say as the overhead product. So this is the working of distillation. So mainly two product we get when we give one as a feed material, so we get two products. One is the overhead product, or is also known as the distillate, and we get the bottom product. That means top product and bottom product we get. So in this lecture we discussed about the basic of distillation, and we start the chapter number 5, dynamic behavior and control of distillation.